We welcome now Dr. Daniel Ennis, the president of Delta State University. Good to see you there, Dr. Ennis. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here.
All right, so give us an update. What's going on there at Delta State University? I know you have been actively engaged in working with your board and so forth, and really trying to address some of the budgetary matters and financial issues. You've put a plan in place and you're taking action. What's the latest?
So we put the plan in place and we worked the plan. We were very pleased that after a long tough process, we ended the year in the black. We actually put away more than $2 million toward our reserve. That's very important. Delta State's reserves were very low when I arrived, and we have to build back our cash position like any organization. And we did that. That took some cuts, and certainly we acknowledge that there was a price to be paid to get the Delta State financial position where it needs to be. But we had a balanced budget in 23-24, and we're going to have a balanced budget in 24-25. And as we build those reserves up, that gives us opportunities to do more things. So I'm very excited. We are no longer in a position where we have to talk about expediencies or scary moments in the future. Delta State is in a solid spot. We might be, we're light years away where we were a year ago in terms of our financial stability, and we're in great shape. It's going to be a great year.
Wow, congratulations. Great news, no doubt about it. Now, that did require, as I recall, Dr. Ennis, some changes with respect to the academic offerings, and I think you, as part of that, perhaps shed some staff, but these are difficult decisions. There's no doubt about it. Nobody in your position likes to have to do those kind of things, but perhaps necessary for the long-term viability of the institution.
Well, higher ed is a people business. Somewhere between 70 and 90% of your budget in any given year is payroll. So unfortunately, When you have to make major changes in the budget, there's not a ton of discretionary spending that you can peel off. Sometimes folks think, well, if you just stop, buying supplies or travel or buying equipment, that's not where university budgets are. It's almost all people. So we took almost $1 million out of upper administration. We started at the top. We did shed staff and faculty, and the programs we shut down. There were 21 programs that I recommended be shut down by the IHL, and they agreed. They covered about 230, I think it was 238 students. So 21 programs with basically less than a dozen students in each program, give or take. That's not sustainable in higher ed. We needed programs that had much more robust enrollment, and now we pulled ourselves into a much more defensible position in terms of how finances work at this university.
So really just a business-like approach to managing the budget here.
Yes, sir. I mean, we have money coming in for the taxpayers, and of course, lion's share of our money comes from the students. So tracking the revenue from the students right into the programs that the students are choosing is important. And I think that's something that folks maybe overlook. The students choose their major. And so that means that they have made the decision that this particular program suits their needs. And some of the programs no longer suit our students in 2024. The downside of that, of course, is that does mean that we have to make personnel changes. And we've done our best to do that in a way that we can help folks who did get laid off find a landing spot. Our faculty were given a full year of notice on these layoffs, and we extended their benefits as far as we're allowed to by law, and we want them to find a place where they can practice their discipline. And in some cases, it won't be able to be here at Delta State.
Yeah. So what's been the reaction from the IHL, Dr. Ennis? They've got to be pleased with the turnaround here.
Well, I hope so. I mean, they laid out my mission during my job interview. I mean, there was no secret that Delta State had run deficits for a number of years. The reserves were getting dangerously low. And, like any other organization, we have to have a rainy day fund for unexpected things that happen, weather emergencies. A crisis can occur. A boiler can blow up and you've got to get your AC fixed on the double. All kinds of things can happen. A roof can leak. So you have to have a reasonable reserve. And in higher ed, that standard is you need 90 days of cash on hand. Delta State had 23 days of cash on hand when I arrived. Now we have 34. And each year of my administration, we're going to keep adding as many days as we can until we're where we need to be. But the IHL, I think, understood in general what I had to do, and I certainly kept them informed step by step as I went through these things. And they, like everybody else in Mississippi, I hope, have a vested interest in a healthy, viable, and durable Delta state. And we are much closer to that definition now than perhaps we were a little while ago. So it's an exciting time to be here.
Absolutely. What about enrollment this year?
So enrollment's up, and I want to be careful. Enrollment's slightly up, and no president likes to say enrollment's down, so I'm glad to say it's up. But we need our enrollment to be significantly up. So we're probably going to post between a 1% and 2% increase. I tell folks that since we cut some programs, I expected a decline. So even holding firm is actually a victory when you look at how enrollment works. So having it up even a small amount is good for our morale and it's good for our planning. But we're doing a lot with our enrollment management this year. We're really reaching out to the community colleges in our area and having some much more robust agreements with them for transfer students. And we're making some changes in how we market the institution and getting out there more aggressively with the great Delta State brand. So I feel like now that we've got the budget square, the next battle to fight is to get our enrollment process and policies where they need to be a modern recruitment machine.
What about the university's infrastructure, the buildings, the physical plant, et cetera? How's that looking?
Well, I want to make sure I say in this venue that we are very pleased with the support we've got from the state legislature. As a new president, I went to Jackson with a pretty aggressive ask for help with some renovation of some residence halls and new roofs and new electrical. We're doing nothing terribly glamorous here. We're doing meat and potatoes infrastructure because that's really where a university's physical plant lies. Making sure that all of our roofs and buildings are solid, our electrical's up to date and up to code, making sure that we're compliant with safety regulations. And some of that doesn't get you on the front page, but it's necessary for the students. And I'll say that I was very pleased that our leaders in Jackson, the state legislature, they gave us a lot more than we might have gotten a little while ago, because we made the case. These are state buildings. These are our trust. The taxpayers own these buildings, and you can't let them fall apart. So we've got some wonderful new projects coming up. My most exciting project is we've got a residence hall built in 1930, Ward Hall. It's one of our oldest buildings on campus. And when I arrived here for my interview, it's empty, it's closed, and it's a little depressing. It's kind of falling down. And I said, in what world would a university have one of its oldest and most historical buildings sort of derelict? So I asked to have a start on some renovation money. We're going to raise some private money too, and we're going to bring Ward Hall back to life. And for me, that's symbolic. Delta State has to fight its way back to a better place, and having an empty building is not the message we want to send. We want a robust building full of students learning and full of students having a great experience, and that's the plan for that particular building.
Speaking of fundraising and private donations, how's that going? Do you have any current programs in place right now to raise money for specific needs?
Yeah, so we're coming up on our 100th anniversary, so we're starting our centennial this year. We just had our 99th birthday 2 days ago. And so in conjunction with the 100th anniversary of Delta State, I've asked our foundation to support and asked our alumni to pitch in. I've put a $100 million gift out there, a $100 million target for our capital campaign. And that's a pretty aggressive stance for Delta State, but I think we can do it. So we're out there basically saying to folks, if you've ever thought about supporting this fine university, now's the time. Now's the time to get on board with Delta State. And with that $100 million, what we really want to do is focus on providing more aid for our students. The Delta, we have wonderful students, but some of them need some more scholarship help than what they can get from the feds and or the statewide aid. So we want scholarships, and then of course we certainly want to engage donors in projects that they care about and continue to upgrade our facilities to make them top-notch, just like our students deserve.
The 2025 legislative session right around the corner, Dr. Ennis, any particular needs you have there that you're going to be working with members on?
So we, of course, work with the IHL on how we lay our priorities out to the legislature. We have some ongoing projects that we've started that need some continued support, again, on the infrastructure side. And, part of my messaging is to make sure everybody knows that we're in business, and we're not just in business, we're on the right track. So, I know that occasionally some legislators have expressed maybe some skepticism or doubt about Delta State's future. We're good to go. We don't need
Sounds
anybody's
good.
pity, but we wouldn't mind a little hand up here and there. So that's what we're looking for from the legislature.
Enjoyed the visit today, Dr. Daniel Ennis, president of Delta State University, and congratulations on turning things around there. Great job. Appreciate it, sir.
Well, we still got a long way to go, but we appreciate being able to visit with you today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Folks, we're coming right back in the Alamut Well studio.